Hey Stitchers, it's Trisha, the left-handed stitcher. I am finally doing an update. It's been about a year since I did an update, give or take a few days. And well, I've put out other videos in between, but not an actual update. So, I guess the question to answer is, where have I been? And the short answer to that is life. Life in 2016, more or less, yeah, some of it sucks, some of it, some of it was pretty decent. I'm going to just go over the year real quick so that it's not too long of a video, and there's just certain things that I don't need to delve into, or I don't feel like delving into. Let's put it that way. So, February, I was dealing with a little bit of depression. I am a diagnosed clinical depressive. Been diagnosed for over 10 years now. So it happens, and I just have to work through it when it does. Beginning of March, I went on a retreat up in Albuquerque. I got to see Jennifer again, and I got to meet her mom. Absolutely a joy. And then I got to meet Concho, her service dog, such a sweet animal. He was great. I had a lot of fun, and I finished the back stitching on Innocent Guardian. I'm not going to show it this time. It's in the bedroom, and my husband's already in bed asleep. As you can tell, I haven't been sleeping well lately, so I'm up again late. It's just the way things are for me. So after the retreat, end of March, got a phone call. My mom died. It was expected and unexpected at the same time. I knew that her health was getting bad. I just didn't realize how bad it was getting. Best we can figure, it was the COPD. Finally, it got to the point where she stopped breathing one night when she was asleep. So me and my husband drove up to Wisconsin to do, the funeral and take care of all that stuff. That trip up to Wisconsin was kind of nice in the way that I got to see a lot of my family, and I reconnected with my friend Becky. So then I came home, and of course, I'm accustomed to dealing with depression, so it helped me somewhat, but grief is a completely different animal. There's other aspects that I'm still trying to figure out how I process it. So I do really well most days, and then there'll be a random thought, something I see, something I hear that just kind of knocks me on my ass. But it's just gonna take time. I miss her. To be honest, I love my mom, but I didn't like the person that she had become. So there's a lot more levels to this than, you would initially think. So, came back from that trip, while I was in Wisconsin that time, I found out from my mom's family that they do a picnic, a family picnic every year. And I've been so out of touch with everybody. It had been 6 years since I'd been, in Wisconsin. And that last time was because my dad had a heart attack. So that, that wasn't exactly a vacay. So I made plans to drive back up there in June for the family picnic. And, so I was looking forward to that. When I was up in Wisconsin, I got to see my dad for a little bit. And I couldn't stay in the house for all that long because I can't handle cigarette smoke, and the place reeked of it. But I did get to spend some time with him and talk to him and give him a hug. And then, came home and summer vacation, focused on my son and my husband, and, tried to keep Alex nice and occupied and happy. So then, end of May, I get a phone call. My dad died. Yeah. So he his heart finally gave out. He'd had a double bypass back in 2010. So he, just his heart got tired. Excuse me. So this time I drove up, when I was on the phone with my brother, we talked about it. My dad had been very explicit with my brother what his wishes were. And he told Greg he wanted nothing. No memorial service, no funeral, just, cremation, and we decide what to do with the ashes. So because of that, Greg and I agreed there was no reason for me to change my travel plans, to move them up. So I stayed with my original plans. I drove up to Wisconsin in June, and there was my mom's family picnic, which was a lot of fun. It wasn't as many of my cousins as I had hoped, but I did have a lot of fun. And then my dad's side of the family hadn't been getting together, but they organized a family picnic that was an unofficial memorial for my dad. And that is going to be the start. So, one of the silver linings of all of it, it's the start of an annual family picnic for my dad's side. So that was good. I got to see my uncle that lives in Florida. He came up. I got to see him. We get along really well because he was Air Force. He did 20-some years, I think 25 years, and we were actually in the same career field, so we speak the same language. No, it was good. And I got to see my brother Kevin. He's the oldest. We haven't really been communicating because he'd become estranged from the family through his own actions. But, having your parents die changes things a little bit. He's not my buddy, but I do liked the fact that, you know, we were able to see each other, you know, talk a little bit. So when I was in Eau Claire the second time, I was staying at my friend's Becky's house. Awesome family. She's such a great person, and it was just such a comfortable place to be. So that was nice, and I had more or less have an open invitation, so that was cool. When I was up there for my mom's memorial, I had learned that, you know, Becky had cross-stitched before. You know, she hadn't touched it for several years, but, you know, when she saw me cross-stitching, it kind of gave her the urge to pick hers up again. So when I went up there in June, I'd put together a little stitchy gift for her, you know, as a, you know, birthday / you know, thanks for putting me up type of thing. I gave her a set of Q-snaps with a grime guard that I made. There was a pair of my favorite scissors, a package of assorted sized bone needles. I made her a scissor fob and a needle minder. I gave her a Loran threader and some thread heaven. I figured I wanted to give her all the tools that I find, you know, really helpful, and, you know, help her kind of get back into it with more of the newer stuff. So she was really thrilled with that, and I showed her the project bag that I had made for myself. So when I took her to we went to Joann's, and I told her pick out a fabric that you like, and so she picked out this fabric, purple polka dots. It was a challenge to find a coordinating fabric for this. I'm telling you, but I did manage to find something, and it actually turned out super cute. So here it is. I think it turned out so cute. They're little butterflies in a green tonal. So the two colors do coordinate, and I think that pattern don't, they're not too bad together, so it turned out good. I used a lime green zipper to create, you know, the color match. And that worked out really well. I added a D-ring to this side. I gotta sew. It keeps wanting to turn, so I'm gonna have to hand sew that right there, so that it keeps it in place. But I put the D-ring on, and then my husband made the wrist strap with some tiny gauge parachute cord. He does a lot of the parachute cord weaving bracelets and stuff, so he made that, and I think I found a really good match for the lining fabric, gray and white polka dots, so it, you know, it goes nice. I was really thrilled with how this turned out, and I'll get to that. What I was just gonna say, it'll come a little bit later. And so then I pulled out some fabric that I had, I'd bought it a couple months prior, and I knew I was going to make a project bag from it, so I pulled that out, and I made myself another project bag. Just a simple gray bottom that goes really well with this butterfly print. So pretty. Absolutely pretty. I didn't actually pull this off the shelf. I was at the cutting table getting the stuff that I had selected, and I saw it behind the girl. and went, ooh, can I get some of that too? So I did that little pink zipper to coordinate, again, the D-ring with, and this one's actually woven directly to the D-ring, whereas on Becky's it's a removable one. So okay, just set that down. And for this one, I found this lining fabric at Walmart, and so I bought a yard of it. I came home and I sewed this up, and then I discovered just how versatile this fabric is with other fabrics. It is amazing. So I went back, and it was one of their bargain fabrics, $1.50 for a yard, but it was a name brand. It was weird. It was a name brand, but it was in the bargain. I bought the rest of the bolt because just this fabric can go with just about anything. It's awesome. So then I finished that up, and I was looking at the extra pieces of the interfacing that I used, just lying on the table, and I got an idea, and I used it to make a little accessories pouch with the same. This is the one I've been using it, so I got stuff in it. It's the same liner, same, but because I switched up the fabrics, and I thought this looked really, really nice. So I was so happy with what this turned out. My mother-in-law saw it and said, oh, that's pretty, and then she mentioned that it would be really, really nice to keep her embroidery stuff in. So I used the other excess piece of interfacing, and I made another one of these for her. And then I had 2 more pieces, because you get I got 2 of those excess pieces per bag. So I made one for my son with red and blue fabric that he uses for keeping some of his stuff in. It's in his room. He's asleep, so I'm not going to go get it. And then I made one for Becky. So, and of course, same liner to match. And I'm so, this turned out so well. It was awesome. And I was prepping another bag to sew. I was designing one in memory of my mom. So I was picking fabrics that I know she would love and all that, and then my machine broke. So that kind of got put to the side. It took me a while to get my machine fixed because, there isn't a whole lot of options around here. I finally found the one guy in town that does machine repair, and he's super nice, and he guarantees his work for a year. So that was awesome, and he's not expensive either. So it was cool. I got my machine fixed, but I haven't gotten the project bag sewing bug back yet. So it'll come, and I'll make those. And I have plans for another bag in memory of my dad, because when I was, I like to collect buttons. When I was up in Wisconsin the first time, going through my mom's apartment, my brother took over clearing her apartment, but he told me, go through the apartment, take anything I wanted. So, it's funny is the stuff that I chose to bring home, my husband was like, so surprised, because he thought it was going to be a lot more stuff. But I looked at stuff that really reminded me of her, and I kept it pretty simple. And I pulled some buttons off of some of her clothes, and to bring back. And then when I was up there for my dad, I asked my brother, if there's any of Dad's old clothes left that I could get buttons off of. And so he said, sure. And so he's just like, here. He gave me a bag with the clothes in it, rather than just giving me the buttons, which is awesome. I got 2 of my dad's suits. One is a really unattractive brown corduroy, tan corduroy. I'm still trying to figure out how I can use that, and the other one's a light blue polyester. So there's going to be some alteration to that fabric before I can use it for anything. But he also gave me 3 of the shirts that my dad wore on a daily basis. Shirts he loved, and he wore them every day. So that is just amazing. They're this canvas fabric that has been worn till it is butter soft. So I have plans to use some of that fabric to make a project bag. So you'll definitely see those when I get around to it. So then school started back up, getting back into the swing of that. My son's birthday this year, his birthday cake, he asked me for a Pokeball cake. So it turned out really, really good. It wasn't perfect, but it turned out really good. It was my first time making a sphere cake and first time working with fondant. So I was pleasantly surprised with how well it turned out, and he loved it. I'll put in a picture of it right here. And then he already made his request for next year's cake, and if he sticks with this request, he asked for another star from Minecraft. I took a look at the design of another star, and I'm getting off so easy for next year. If he sticks with that idea, that cake's gonna be so easy compared to the last 3 years of cake. So then, Halloween, we had a lot of fun for Halloween, and then you got Thanksgiving and Christmas. It was a nice, low-key Christmas with the family. And he had a good Christmas. He made a pretty good haul between me and my husband and Grandma and his aunt and uncle. I wanted to make sure that it was still a good Christmas. He didn't really know my mom. He'd met her, but he was real young. But she always sent him gifts, so I just wanted to make sure that her presence was still there. Let's put it that way. So now it is 2017. And I have such hopes that this year's just gonna be better than last year. So we can always hope. What is going on right now? Well, what happened during 2016 as far as stitching? I stitched a lot. I have so much stitching in 2016 that I'm gonna have to go back and show you, but I'm not going to show you everything in this one because I've been thinking about it, and I had to give myself permission to pare down what to put in the first update video, because I was just getting overwhelmed, and when I get overwhelmed, it just doesn't happen. So I'll get stuff shown back, but my Stitchy in 2016, beginning of the year, starting in the beginning of the year and all the way up until this month, I was in round robins. I signed up for 6 round robins. Yeah, oh my lord. But I had a lot of fun, and I will talk about that fairly in depth. I'll do its own video and show you all the projects I picked and show you the projects that I stitched on and all that. So when I came home after the second Wisconsin trip, I kind of got on a finishing kick. Not an FFO kick, just a finishing projects. So I picked up Cool Cardinal, and I finished him. I picked up my American Waving Flag, and I finished it. I picked up Clockwork Hummingbird, and I finished it. I picked up my Flower of the Month that I had been working on, and I finished it. Needless to say, when the whole Soulful Stitchers Year of Whips thing came along, I didn't have enough whips to even consider joining. So what do you do when you don't have a lot of whips? I joined the Cross Stitch It's Fun Stitch What's thing. I know I talked about it a little bit earlier. Second, my nose is starting to run. I'll go off camera for this. Okay. And because of not having a lot of whips, I'm starting stuff for these challenges and sales that come along. And again, that is a whole ball of wax that I'll do in its own video, because I did a lot of stitching in December, so I'll show you all that. So yeah, that's what's happening. We went on a break. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly show you what's on the snaps now, and a couple other projects that I recently did. Stitchwoods took a break between the 2nd of January and the 14th. So tomorrow we start back up. And during the break, I hadn't knit anything in 6 years, but I needed a scarf. Well, I am going to Wisconsin again in January. I've been in New Mexico for 10 years, so my blood's pretty thin. So why the heck am I going to Wisconsin in January? My friend Becky, she shared, I see when she shares something on Facebook, it notifies me. She shared a post where they were talking about a crafty weekend, a retreat in up where she's at. And I've wanted so bad to go to a retreat with one of my old friends. And so for shits and giggles, I went on Travelocity and I looked up what airfare was going to be during that time frame, and it was so ridiculously low. Oh my lord, it was so low. So I thought about it for a few days, and I talked to my husband. He didn't really have any major objections to it, so I bought my plane tickets to go up to Wisconsin to go to a crafty retreat. It's a scrapbook slash card making slash quilting slash cross stitch retreat. So I'm actually flying up there Tuesday. And it is now Saturday night going into Sunday. So it's coming up quick. So my trip up to Wisconsin, I needed a scarf. I had a scarf some years ago that I wore with my uniform. It was a black scarf, black chenille. And since I retired, it's kind of gotten misplaced. I don't know where it's at. I can't find it. I've been looking at for about 2 years now, and since I just haven't been able to locate it, I decided I would knit myself one. And it took me a while to find the right yarn that had the right feel that was just like my old one. So squishy and soft. Yeah. This is made out of Bernat Pipsqueak yarn. It's real fuzzy and soft. I love it. And it's just a simple, garter stitch. But I am so thrilled. It is just so comfy, and it's gonna come in handy. Wisconsin. They got like 6 inches the other day of snow. Yeah. So when I finished my scarf, my son indicated that he wanted a scarf, but I told him if I knit it from this, I wouldn't be able to finish it before I left, and I'd have to dye it because he's not going to wear a white scarf. His favorite color is red. And I showed him the other 2 balls or skeins of Pipsqueak yarn. It's a baby blanket yarn, I think. So it comes in pastels, no strong colors. So I did manage to find a nice squishy soft yarn that in the right color. So I knit him his own scarf. This is the Bernat blanket yarn. It's it's size 6, super chunky. So this knit up pretty darn quick. I mean, his scarf is narrower. The yarn was thicker. So, and it doesn't have to be near as long as mine, because he's still a kid. But I gave him option of 3 different patterns. One was garter. The other one was crocheted. And then there was this one, whereas it's a stockinette stitch in the center and a garter stitch border around. Very basic pattern, but this one is kind of fiddly because I had to purl as well as do knit. But it worked up quick. It only took me 3 days to do this. So he's happy. He's got his own little scarf that Mommy made him. So there's that. And then, where do I go next? I'll show you what's on the snaps. This is not actually on a Q-snap at the moment, but it's ready. The pattern's prepped, the floss is prepped, but I felt it needed to be off the snap for me to show you my progress on this. So let me scoot back a little bit, and here is my progress on the Flower of the Month series. So I finished up the Wild Rose was the one that I finished up. It was pretty cool when we were driving up to Wisconsin for my mom's memorial. I was working on this block, and that's what I stitched the entire drive up there, because Lily of the Valley was her favorite flower, so that was nice to be able to do that. These patterns are gorgeous. They turn out so pretty. So I am ready to start the next one. So that's going to go into snaps real soon and get worked on some more. Like I've said before, this thing, I don't have any sort of deadline for it, and I don't feel a need to rush it, so I just work on it when I feel like it. So there's that. The next thing to show you is I joined the Tempting Tangles Welcome Sal. I got the first parts done, and then I have held off stitching the rest because I wanted to do, I was considering some color changes for the text and the little vine work that goes around it, but I wasn't comfortable making color choices until I saw the rest. So I decided I would wait until the whole design came out, and then I would finish stitching this. But it's actually been it's been a lot of fun. Well, you know, when I was stitching, but now that I'm held off, I see if I get up real close, you can see the little violets that are there. I did those in satin stitches, and then their centers is a tiny little Smyrna. So it gives it just the right dimension for the flower center. That turned out really nice. I'm not sure, at some point I might add beads, but I'll make that decision at the end. So there's my Welcome Sal. It's on hold, but you know, it'll get finished. The next thing to show you is my New Year, New Start. Tiny little start. This is chatelaine, Kathy's Violets. So this was my New Year, New Start. It'll get worked on. It's a smaller design, so I shouldn't have too much trouble getting it done this year. We'll see. And then my next start is one of the Jim Shore monogram patterns. There isn't an actual picture of this letter, so you know, it's not like I can give you show you a mock-up. But one of the, you know, you can always go to 123 and look up. You can see what the general monograms look like. They're really pretty. So I'm doing one of those. And then this is one of the monthly challenges. Well, this is the January monthly challenge for Stitch What's. And I've moved the Q snap, so you're only going to see part of it. But for the Follow the Yellow Brick Road Sal, or challenge, I designed my own pattern. It is literally a yellow brick road. Since I'm not really a big Oz fan, and I don't have a bunch of whips to pull from, as far as, you know, finding one that has yellow in it or something that has a road in it, you know. I designed a simple, total potato chip, don't need to think about it, stitching. So I'm on row 8 of 14, so a little over halfway. And then let's see here, that's pretty much it for right now. Those are the whips that I'm actively working. Like I said, I got a bunch to show you for December and, you know, all of 2016. I'll get to it. Just not tonight. Now, what do I show you next? Let me move this stuff off of the table. I prepped the projects that I'm going to take with me to Wisconsin this time. And I had, once I prepped the fabrics, I don't want to fold them to transport them, so I stacked them on top of each other and I rolled them up. And I tried to think of a way to keep them neat and clean, you know, in my suitcase. And, you know, going back and forth between Becky's house and the retreat center. And I had seen this in somebody's video a while back, a design like this, so it kind of stuck in the back of my mind. So when I needed something, this is what I threw together, because I just sat down and I sketched out the design and I went off the measurements of the fabric roll that I had, and I put together a little fabric carry thing. I'm going to switch views on the camera because it'll be a lot easier for me to show you from the other view. Okay, so let me do that. Alright, so here it is, and let me undo this real quick, show you what I started with. This is the roll of projects that I'm taking with me. And so the design is really simple. You just set it in the middle. Little tabs on the side fold up. And then this side folds in and it rolls up like a burrito. And then I have ties that I sewed right here to tie around. When I was putting this together, I asked my husband, hey, do you have some, you know, pink or some bright color 550 parachute cord, you know, that would match this fabric? And he's like, wait a second, I got the perfect. So as you can see, it's rainbow sherbet. Perfect. So pretty, and it works so well for just securing this up. Yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out. It was just a complete, you know, a spur of the moment. This is what I need. Let me see if I can put it together. So there it is. This is gonna go in my carry-on. My stitchy stuff is going in my carry-on because I am not risking them losing all of my projects for a 4-day retreat. So there it is. I'm gonna move the camera back. Alright, so I had to take the scarf off because it's actually quite warm in here tonight. It's usually cold in this room, but so the last thing I'm going to show you is some haul. If I were to try to show you all of the haul from 2016, that would be incredibly long. So I'm just showing you stuff that's come in recently. So we'll start from there, and I might go back and pull some of the key things from last year to show you in one of the next updates, but you'll see it as it comes up for the most part. Grab it off the pile here. Okay, first thing is a 1, 2, 3 stitch order. I won a giveaway. Sandy, the Sunroom Stitcher, had a giveaway, and I won $25 1, 2, 3 gift certificate. Absolutely wonderful. And I have plans to meet up with her. I think when I'm planning to drive up to Wisconsin in June again, and I drive right through her city. So we're gonna try to set up a meet. I'm gonna have my son with me, so I just have to see how that works. So what I did with it is I went on 1, 2, 3 Stitch and I pulled something off of my wish list. I ordered it and all of the accoutrements as far as it just needed beads, and so I got Azure, Mermaid Azure. I think that's how you say it, Azure, whatever. But pretty little blue-green, simple mermaid. And this one's specifically a Nora Corbett as opposed to Mirabilia. But so she had 6 beads and 2 treasures. So those got ordered, and I had a little bit left over, so I got a skein of Anchor Black, because you always can use more Anchor Black, and I ordered the Snag Nabbit, and I haven't used it yet, so we'll see, but I have it for when I do need it. So yep, I'm absolutely thrilled about this, and I was so happy to be able to use the gift certificate for something special. So there she is. Now, Crazy Annie's had a good sale, so I picked up a few things off of her Bonanza store recently. The first thing is the Sue Hillis 'Twas the Night. I love seeing this stitched up, so I decided that it was a pattern I needed in my stash. Don't have plans anytime soon, but this is one of those things that I will stitch it. And then I also I've had my eye on her for a while, the January Garnet Fairy. I don't really have any connection to the month of January, but she's just so pretty. I see her stitched up on the wall behind, oh man, Patty. I think it's Patty. So I fell in love with it, so I had to order it. Since I'm not starting this right away, I didn't bother ordering beads yet. But the beads that are already in my stash that are not assigned to anything specific that are on this list, I've already marked for it. So, and then one of the Krennics had a direct conversion for Petite Treasure Braid, which I had in my stash because I've been doing the stitching bits and bobs, floss of the month type thing. I chose to do Petite Treasure Braid, so I'm building a little bit of stash of that stuff. But the other 2 Krennics don't have a direct conversion, so first I'm gonna contact the company and see if they've developed, figured out what the best conversion is. But I also have other plans to figure that out. I'll show you in a minute. And then she's got 3 Caron Collection Wire Lilies. So those are on my wish list. I'll get them eventually. And then this one I've picked up and put down so many times. So it was a super good price for it, so I finally picked it up. Silver Moon Tea. Just a pretty, simple design. So pretty, small. Something about it speaks to me, so I finally pulled the trigger on it, and this one has just beads. So again, I didn't order any beads yet, but if they were in my stash, I marked them for this pattern. And let's see if I can do it without too much glare, without taking it out. I've been wanting to get this one for a while, so I picked up Water Goddess. She's so pretty. Jonah Elliott design. And for her, I managed to get two of the Krennics already converted over to Petite Treasure Braid, and the third one didn't have a direct conversion, so I'll figure that out. But she also didn't order beads, but if they're in my stash, they're marked. So there's that. And then this I had to go searching for. I saw it when I was searching for certain patterns, and I had to order it from China, which I'm not entirely certain that, even though DMC is all over this kit, that it's an actual DMC kit or not. But I figure if it wasn't, DMC Corp would have put a kibosh to it already, because they sell a lot of these. I've bought from this China, this style before. So this is an old DMC kit, dandelion. Such a pretty. It's hard to find dandelion patterns that look, realistic, and this one does. It's amazing. So there's the pattern. One thing I'm not too keen on is this pattern. It's in color, color and symbols, so I can work with that. But it's printed on the same shiny paper. I haven't tried making working copies of this yet. I have a feeling that's going to be kind of tough. We'll see. I'll do what I need to when it comes time. And it's a kit. Came with Ada and floss. Probably gonna swap out the Ada for an even weave fabric. But I got that in my stash for when I feel the need. And then I just recently made an order from Nordic Needle. 123 Stitch is going to soon be carrying Petite Treasure Braid, which is flippin' awesome. Oh my god, I'm just so waiting for that. And that news, when I think it was Sherry that shared it, jumping for joy with that thing, because getting Petite Treasure Braid for me has been problematic. That's why I went with the Stitching Bits and Bobs Floss of the Month to build a stash, so that I So anyways, I have placed orders with Nordic Needle. Well, this is the third one in the past 5 months. Let's put it that way, 5 months. One of them I just canceled outright. The other one, I needed other things from that order, so I could, I have ordered this 3 times. Each time, after my order's placed, because the item that's on the page has add to cart on it. So I add it to my cart. And then I get a notification the next day that we don't actually have it, so we're going to remove it from your order, and we'll send the rest. The first time, I told them don't bother, just cancel the whole order. And then the second time, I needed other things, so I said go ahead and send the order. So this past time, again, added to my cart. Got the notification the next day that they didn't have it, and they were going to remove it from my order. But then my order showed up, and it was in here. Oh my god, it is the Petite Treasure Braid color card with the actual, yep, so happy. I have been trying for months to get a hold of this, and it's here. So now I can take this and do the Krennic to Petite Treasure braid conversion myself. So this is gonna, well, I'm going to the next Stitches from the Heart retreat in March, because it's only a 9-hour drive for me to get over to San Antonio. So I'm going to be joining the lovely ladies of the San Antonio Area Stitchers group for the next retreat. Sadly, a lot of them won't be able to make it, so I will have to wait until another time to meet them, including Sherry. I was really looking forward to meeting Sherry. But next time. This will be going with me, so when I stop by the actual Stitches from the Heart shop to do, you know, the not absolutely necessary but pretty obligatory, you know, buy from the store that's holding the retreat, the Krennics that I need for the other ones, I'm gonna, you know, pull that spool from their stash and then match up and see if I can find out what Petite Treasure braid I would need, and then if they have that Petite Treasure braid, I did buy that, because while Krennic's good, you know, it's very workable. Petite Treasure braid's just better consistency, and you get more for your money. There's more length on the card than there is on a spool of Krennic, and I find that the links that come off a card just work up better than the ones on the spool for some reason. I'm not quite sure why, but I've stitched with both, and I do like Petite Treasure braid better. So happy with this. So pretty. And now, you know, I have some old kits that use that old crappy blending filament with it. I can try to color match that stuff to figure out if I can use a Petite Treasure braid instead. So I got that. I ordered 3 cards of Petite Treasure braid from them. Like I said, 1, 2, 3 Stitch hasn't quite started carrying it yet, so I ordered those from Nordic Needle this time. And the reason I went to Nordic Needle this time was I wanted to pick up this copy of Cross Stitch Needlework. I had a subscription from them for several years. My subscription ran out with this issue, and they didn't notify me, of course, probably because they were planning to shut down. They just figured they'll let it lapse, and, you know, one less person to deal with, let's put it that way. So I called them, and they said, well, call us and we'll set, you know, we'll get your subscription running again. And it got put on the back burner, and I forgot, you know. So when I heard news that they were shutting down, yeah. So at the moment, I don't feel the need to get the very last issue, since it is a rehash of other things. But since I do have every issue of Cross Stitch Needlework since around 2004, I think is the first one. When I started getting this, when I started this subscription for this a few years ago, I was so impressed with the magazine that I went on eBay and Etsy and a stash unload type site, and I tracked down every single copy as far back as when they they were Stitcher's World for a while, and then they stopped making magazines, and then they started up again with the cross-stitch needlework. So I have every copy except for the very last one, and right now I just don't feel the need, so we'll see. But I picked this up recently. I was going through my whole magazine stash because I was looking for certain patterns for the Stitch What's challenges, and I also wanted to reacquaint myself with what's in the magazines that I have. And so I went through my entire stash of magazines, just flipped through them, and I have to say, I found more things in cross-stitch and needlework that I actually would want to stitch than in just cross-stitch, with the exception of the ornament issues. Those are the exception to the rule. But the rest of them, between the two, cross-stitch needlework is more my style. And the Brit magazines, I have issues of World of Cross-Stitch and Cross-Stitcher and Cross-Stitch Gold, and in those, it's just not my aesthetic. So few things out of those magazines I actually want to stitch, which is why I stopped my subscriptions for the two that you can get in the United States. So yeah, now I'm down to, well, my Just Cross-Stitch subscription, and I started doing Stony Creek subscription, so we'll see. I'm gonna go with that for a while and see if I like their stuff enough. But I'm really sad about this, that they're gone, because their aesthetic was so well matched with my own. Sad. Who knows? Maybe 3 years from now they'll start again. Who knows? We can only hope. So that was the reason for the Nordic needle, because it was very few places were carrying this copy. A lot of them have the very last issue, but very few had this one. So, and then, so happy about that. Finally got my hands on one of these. So that's my most recent haul. Just skimming the surface, per se. Alright, so that's everything I had to show you for this long awaited update. So, plans. I'm a member of Stitch What's. I am in the Satin Door house, and so I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm going to continue doing that. Of course, like I said, I'm flying up to Wisconsin in January for a Stitchy retreat. And then there's the San Antonio retreat in March. My Stitcher's Garden store up in Albuquerque, I contacted them before the holidays, and I heard back from them just to say that they'd have details out after the holidays, so I'm waiting. But I don't know when the dates are for their next one. Supposedly in April, which would kind of suck. And then that's the reason there's a Mirabilia retreat in San Antonio that I want to sign up for, but the dates might clash, and I'm not sure which one I'd rather go to, because Albuquerque is a 4.5-hour drive, and San Antonio is a 9.5-hour drive. So we'll see. And I like to spend time with Jennifer. So I don't know. We'll see. And then going to I'm probably going to go to other retreats through the year. There's a few on the books as far as possibles for me, so we'll see about that. We'll see what the rest of the year holds for me. One other thing is, when I drove up to Wisconsin in June, on the way there, I stopped by Stitchville, USA, because I was driving through Minneapolis, St. Paul area before turning to cut over into Wisconsin. So I made the side trip over to them and stopped there. Awesome store. I could have spent a lot more. I kind of restrained myself because I had plans to go back up there with Becky, but that didn't pan out. So, and I drove. It's about an hour away from my hometown. Another town in Eau Claire was the nearest LNS to my hometown. I drove over there for a few hours one day. Tiny, smaller store, but very nice. And it's co-located with a quilting store, so that would be kind of dangerous. So I think that's everything that I have to go over tonight. I don't know for sure when I'm going to get this edited and published, because tomorrow is going to be spent packing for the trip, and then I fly out very early on Tuesday, so we're going to drive down to El Paso Monday, stay in a hotel that night, so that we don't have to get up at the ungodly hour to drive the hour and a half down there. To be sure, leave with enough time to be sure to get there with that good cushion of time to get checked in and through security. So we're just gonna stay in one of the hotels that is literally within walking distance of the airport. They have a free airport shuttle, which I'm going to use, but if worse comes to worse, I could always just hoof it, because it's literally right there. But that's gonna be nice, because my husband's driving me down, and I really didn't want to make him get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive me down there. So this way we get to drive down nice and relaxed on Monday, and then I get up early enough on Tuesday to get over to the airport, and he gets to sleep in a little bit. So it works out well. So like I was saying, I don't know when this is going to get edited and published, but at least I have it taped. A year since the last update video. Yep. So I will probably do another update once I get back to show you everything I'd stitched down while I was there, and then maybe I'll gather some more of the backlog stuff and put it in there. We'll see. But with Stitch What's, I have enough going on to fill an update, because there's a lot of stitching going on. Alright, so that's it. I am gonna sign off now, and we'll see you guys next time. Happy stitching.